This is the Robbie G podcast episode. I'm not too sure. I think 15, 16,
episode
something like
one,
that.
baby.
I'll write it down.
It's
this is the first
episode
one that I'm doing in person though, like this. And it's a blessing to have the man, the myth, the legend, Mark D, on here vibing out with me. Thank you so much for coming and yeah, man, just looking forward to chatting with you and kicking it. And yeah, congrats on everything that you've done, because I must say I'm watching your life from my third eye lens and seeing some of the cool stuff that you've done and the places that you've been to and what you're doing here in Kelowna, being a host on the biggest radio station in town, Virgin Radio 99.9. It's cool to get a chance to talk to you, because I feel like you have a voice and an influence, and you share your thoughts well.
Well, thanks, man. I mean, hopefully we could do the same on this episode too. And it's funny because I just came from the show, and yes. I find that I'm most animated, I'm most wired to go right after doing a radio show. Yeah. Most people, after they do a radio show, they're mentally exhausted. They don't want to talk, but I just want to talk even more. Like, I just want to get it all off my chest. So this is perfect. I love to be here. This is a beautiful studio. We're very well put together.
Thank you.
So
thank you.
Let's get into this. Yeah.
Let's get it, brother. So yeah, man, first off, in Kelowna here, I'm just so happy to be here. So happy to be a part of the community. And thank you so much for kind of welcoming here. You've been one of my kind of like friends that I've been able to hang out with. We go golfing and stuff. Yes, and it's been really cool to have somebody to do that with. And I love golfing, man. I love going out there and just playing.
That's so true. Yeah, you're really good at golf too. That's the thing, is when I came here, I didn't really golf that much, and I had a set of golf clubs. And then my buddy told me, he's like, listen, everybody golfs here, and there's 14 or 20 golf courses, something like that. Lots. In Kelowna, and there's only 150,000 people here. So it's like every 1,000 or 10,000 people for one golf course. It's just like a stupid amount of golf courses, and it's the lifestyle. You got to go golfing here. It's one of the few places in Canada or even around the world where you can ski and golf in the same day. Yeah. At certain times of the year. Yeah. So
go down to the beach, go swimming on the same day. Yeah,
it's the weirdest. It's the weirdest place, but I love this place so much. And I'm happy I met you, man. Like, I remember when you first came into Virgin Radio Studios, like, all right, cool. So we got a rapper and he's going to do his little thing. And I'm like, man, this guy killed it. Right. And then you wanted to come hang out after. I was like, yeah, let's definitely hang out. And then a week later, everything shut down because of COVID. Yeah. You weird. Literally had a concert all lined up. And we had swag we were going to give away. We still have that swag.
I know, which your hosts are always rocking it. Like, I always see them doing Instagram videos and stuff and wearing the hats and stuff. So, yeah, it's super cool that they're still, like, rocking it and promoting and represent. So
it's all there, ready to go. I don't know. I'm not sure if the concert tickets are still valid from 2 years ago.
Totally. I mean, if we could eventually make a show happen, is the thing is right now there's no dancing. In BC, so it's very hard to do live events. I mean, I was at the club on Saturday just to kind of like see how the dynamic goes, and it's like there's booths everywhere. People are in their booths, and then people just kind of like walk from the booth to the bar and back to there and kind of like move a little bit, but you can't really. There's no dance floor. You can't vibe out with people like that. So it's very.
Robbie's not a symphony orchestra. You don't sit and down. Watch. It's a very interactive performance.
Yeah.
Remember when I was watching you at watching you perform at, was it Redbird? Yes. And they had that whole outdoor situation going on. So there it was a bit more freedom to kind of move around.
Yeah.
And you've got a show that's very interactive. So you kind of talk to the crowd and you get people to put their hands up and move around, and I'm talking to the person next to me like, oh, I know. Everyone seems to know you, or there seems to be some sort of connection. So that's really cool. Whereas, if it was an orchestra, you kind of just sit like this and hope, very formally, and you sit in your booth. But your show's not. It's more than that.
It's hard to do that. So I think right now the timeline is we're expecting summer of 2020. To eventually be able to get back to dancing here in Kelowna, launching a like punk ska show for March this week, which I'm excited about. A band that we had prior to the pandemic, the last show that my company had a show for before the pandemic shut us down. So I'm excited to launch that, but it's gonna be interesting to see how that show goes, because it's like they party and go hard. It's
Yeah.
like an Irish band. Like
they're Irish and they do ska.
Yeah. It's
Okay,
like, yeah,
very
they got
interesting.
trumpets and like
Oh,
bagpipes
nice.
and like it's like. I mean,
Leave
yeah.
it to Robbie G to find the 1 in a million.
Yeah.
Those
I
really
mean,
cool bands.
yeah, it's and they're from the record label that Planet Smashers is under, and Planet Smashers is one of my favorite ska bands ever. They're incredible, but they also tour with another band that's got a ska vibe too. So it's a super cool show. You definitely, I think you should come out to it. It's in March.
And this is going to be in Kelowna.
In Kelowna, yeah.
Whereabouts in
at
Kelowna?
Gotham. At
Oh,
Gotham,
okay,
is
yeah.
where we're gonna
And
have
hopefully
it,
it's not the whole booth, and that's what you were saying with the dancing.
yeah,
and
I
everything.
mean, if we can get
Yeah.
people up and dancing, that'll be cool. But even if it's a booth thing, then we'll do what we have to do to still have it and still have a good show and a good time. So, and then for myself, I mean, just this weekend got that boat party in Vancouver. So looking forward to doing that, and we're kind of like
Robbie spends most of his
outside.
life on a boat. I will say that. Like, you have your house, but every time I talk to you, you're always
On a boat.
near a boat, close to a boat, or about to be on a boat, or just came off a boat. And in the
That's the-
summer, yeah, you
Summer
just
for sure,
Look on the
yeah.
water. Robbie's there somewhere.
here in
Yeah.
Kelowna for sure. I mean, why not? It's paradise out there. It
this
feels
is-
so good, especially like around sunset. Like that vibe is just unreal. Like the way it shines off the water and just the sky and the vibe, the temperature here in Kelowna, everything, the air, the taste of the air. It's like
Yeah,
there's something.
Kelowna does have a very specific scent to it.
Yes.
It's a mixture of the water and probably all that booze. People are
Yes,
drinking.
the booze and also the trees. There's so much trees around here. Like I'm from Ontario, and it's like Guelph and cities, so many different cities around, so many people, so much smog, so much traffic, cars, everything that there is trees, but not as much of it. And like our forests, like close by, like you drive 10, 15, 20 minutes anywhere and you could hit a forest that you could walk in for just hours
Yeah.
on end and never get to the finish of it. And
So
like,
true.
it's-
Kelowna's so
that's
weird
so
like
many
that. You
forests.
have the city, and then 5 minutes out of the city is a ranch. Like there's horses and cows right behind the airport.
Mm-hmm.
It's the weirdest thing. I remember like going behind the airport. They have a kangaroo farm, and then
Yeah, I
you go
wanna
the
check
other
that out.
way, and there's water and the beach, and then you got the super uber wealthy with their funiculars, and they're taking them up like their little trains that take them up to their house along the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have all sorts of condos, and then you've got different areas of town that feel more rural, and then there's cideries here with petting zoos. Like, this is a very interesting place.
Yeah.
It's cool that you mentioned ska though, because my buddy introduced me to the Cat Empire. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. Okay, they're a band out of Australia, and they're ska. So they're pretty much wrapping up their band as a band. They're kind of calling it quits, but they're doing their last little run in Australia, and they're doing a virtual concert. But that's kind of his. He's a guy who's not really into music, so it was cool to kind of hear him talk about music in such a way where this is a band that he loved so much. He was loyal to basically one band, and that's it. And the Cat Empire. And so they do ska. So it's a very interesting style of music, which I
I
like.
gotta check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got big into it in like high school. One of my friends just introduced me to like Mustard Plug and Real Big Fish and some of these bands and Planet Smashers. I was just, I fell in love with them. And just the trumpets, the sound, the instrumentation of it, the high energy, the positive vibe of it. It's always like ska's got a really good overall vibe. Like it's really kind of uplifting and upbeat and smile, like happy, good times, kind of like.
But you could
drinking
also be
music sometimes.
bougie and drink like a $20 craft beer and enjoy ska at the same time. You could do both.
You can,
Like, yeah.
yes.
You be either any end of the spectrum. Right.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. It's a cool genre. I don't get a chance to be around it as much anymore because there's not really a ska scene per
Yeah,
se.
I don't know if there is a ska scene here.
out here. Yeah, not really. It's hard. It's I'm trying. I would love to see more scenes develop here in this city and see more creatives just flourish, because we have so much talent in the Okanagan. There's like a lot of artists of so many different flavors particularly in this area, probably because I feel like creatives gravitate to this place.
Yeah.
Like it's just
Well, it's paradise right here.
Yeah.
We were just extolling the virtues of Kelowna. We're like, everything's here, and then we're like, well, actually, there's not a ska scene, but everything else is here. When it comes to living in Canada, just geographically where we are is so far north. There's not a lot of places in Canada that you can call like mild temperatures all year round. Like summer is obviously beautiful in a lot of places in Canada, but winters can get very harsh here. And Kelowna is somewhat of a decent winter. It doesn't get too cold.
Yeah, we're lucky.
Unless you want to go to like Southern Ontario and you get lucky.
Yeah, well, even like Saskatchewan, places Edmonton, it gets pretty cold there. No, we're blessed here in this paradise of the Okanagan Valley. But you've been all over. You've been to a few different places in the world and lived there. And also you have dual citizenship as well, right? You are American and Canadian.
And I'm actually also British as well.
And triple.
Yeah, triple. Got the trio.
Okay.
Got the holy trio.
That is the holy trio,
yeah,
right? That's pretty much can get you like almost anywhere, those three, right? Like,
can't get you to Europe anymore. The EU, the whole reason why I got...
Oh, yeah.
My British citizenship is through my mom. So my mother is British. So actually the day I was born British. I only got the passport later on. And I needed it because for a while I was working in Europe. And I was working as a tour guide. And in order to work there, you have to have an EU passport. So this is a few years back when the UK was still in the EU. So I got my British passport and then I applied and I got the job and I was good to go. And then as soon as I finished working, England decides to go and leave the EU. Wow. So yeah, the whole Brexit thing went down. Now it's, basically back to square one. Now I need to find another way to get an EU passport.
How do you even go about doing that?
There is a way. So this is a very interesting loophole, but I'm technically eligible for German citizenship too. And there's something called Article 116, and that is if your ancestors were persecuted between 1933 and 1945 through the Nazi government in Germany and lost their citizenship, you're able to reclaim it. So my great-great-grandfather is from Germany on my mom's side. They're from Frankfurt. He managed to escape. Unfortunately, his parents did not. They perished in the Holocaust. Yeah, but his citizenship was stripped, and he moved to England, and then he became British, and that's why my mom is from England. So I've been doing a lot of research over the past 2-3 years trying to find that piece of paper that says that the citizenship was stripped. Because what the Nazis did is they actually made a list of all the Jews and anyone they didn't really want as part of the Reich, I guess. They'd have books that would say this person's not a citizen, this person isn't. But a lot of documents also got destroyed. And Frankfurt, a good chunk of the city was bombed, and a lot of documents got destroyed. And that's where my family is from Frankfurt. So I'm trying to kind of put the pieces of the puzzle together now to find a way to prove my great-grandfather was German, had the citizenship, lost it, so that I can go back to the government and say, hey, I'd like some passport, please.
Wow. Yeah. That's a process, but holy, that's quite the history and an interesting loophole. That's kind of sorry, we messed up here.
Here's the winning ticket. Like one of the best passports in the world is Germany. Every year they reveal what are the best passports or which passports take you to the most places. And Germany always ranks as, top 5 or top 6. It's always hanging around there somewhere. So yeah, I'd love a German passport right now, but what you got to go through to get it is quite a while as well. Yeah. You need a lot of documents because they know everyone's going to start, trying to take advantage of this. They want to make sure that they're giving it to the right people. Yeah,
that's interesting. I should look into that too, just because I think I'm eligible to get German citizenship just through
the last name like Grunenbauer. You should be getting it right now. Go to the embassy, man.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure through my grandparents, but and especially if you're saying that's like the good one to have, because you can kind of
if you're German, you can go live, work, study, and get full benefits of anywhere in the EU, and the EU comprises of a good chunk of Europe, like all of Western Europe, Central, some parts of Eastern Europe. Like more of the developed countries are all part of the EU, and there's a pretty centralized currency as well for most of the countries, the euro. So like as a tourist, that's awesome. You know, you don't have to keep switching over your money. Yeah. Some people have their views on it that it's bad. Other people that it's good. I'm not an economist, so I have no idea.
You don't have an opinion on it? Do you remember the days when you had to travel around and have to switch currencies?
So when I went traveling, it was all the euro. There were quite a few places that I would have to change, but it's less and less. So if you go to Poland, you'd have to get the zloty, or if you go to Hungary, you'd have to get the forint. And it was trying to keep track of all of those things, because the zloty, I think, was 3 or 4 zloty is €1 or something like that. I can't remember, but the forint is 300 forint is €1. So like trying to get all these numbers in your head, it's like, here's a bottle of shampoo that's 30,000, please. Whoa, okay. In your mind, it's like, do I need to take out a mortgage? How does this work?
Yeah.
It was a bit tricky in some places to change, but there's apps that'll help you as I would go to the next place and plan it out. I'd be like, all right, cool. Well, I'm going to this country, and then I'd just kind of get myself in that headspace.
What do you need? And what
exactly. And the cool thing is, it's kind of like the US dollar. Like the US dollar will work anywhere. If you really try and offer nobody's going to say no to US money. Nobody's like, all right, cool, I'll take it. It's not my currency, but I know it's good.
It's worth something.
Yeah, you know, your green is worth something here.
That's so
the
interesting.
euro is kind of the same around Europe. Even if it's a place that doesn't officially accept the euro, they'll take it. It's still a good currency.
I wonder when the day will come when the U.S. dollar, when people look at it and they're just like, it's a little sketchy, not so sure about that.
I really hope that doesn't happen in my lifetime, because I really like the way things are now.
Right. Yeah. It's scary to think of what would happen with it going down. It's scary even just with, I know you say you're not an economist, but like I look at how much debt these countries are going into, and the U.S. debt continually just going up and growing, and they just keep printing more and more money. In Canada, similar situation, and in many other parts of the world too. But it's like, where is that debt going to? Where is it coming from? And who ultimately do we owe it to? And
and that's what I was wondering about too, because I'm not an economist and I really have no idea how it works. But when I hear something like the government is, I'm going to make up a random number here, $2 trillion in debt. Let's just say like that number. I mean, it could be more, it could be, I truly don't know. But let's say, you're right. It's to who are they in debt? Are they in debt to the taxpayer? Because if that's the case, then I mean, that's not terrible. I mean, I paid my taxes, the taxes come back. It's not as terrible as if like I owed a foreign country that money, because like what investment is that foreign country helping us in recouping that money or building off of it? I guess when the government gives a bond, they're saying, you give us $10 and in 20 years we'll give you $100 or whatever. And the idea is that they're going to take that $20 and use it to build a bridge or infrastructure so that they'll make money off of it. So I don't know if like the debt, overall the word debt, it sounds like a bad thing, but it's, as you say, who do we owe this money to? That's what's really concerning. And like, what does that mean for me? And I wish I was an economist, because I'd be able to understand all this a lot more.
Right. It's interesting. It's interesting, the whole concept of debt. I was just listening to an interview today by Russ, who's one of my favorite artists, and he was talking about his latest album that he funded through his line of credit. So he's doing quite well. Like, he's an independent artist, owns all his own masters, produces everything, mixes it all himself, and does everything himself. So he's been doing really well. So he's got a few million in the bank, and his budget for the album was $500,000, and he's like, well, I could use my own money, but why would I do that? I could use my own money to invest in real estate and crypto or whatever. I'm gonna go to the bank and say, hey, let me see what's on my line of credit. Take $500,000 off the line of credit, use that to purchase beats, the promotion of the album. He said he spent $60,000 on a billboard in Times Square for 3 days to promote the album, things like that, as part of the budget. And he's like, your line of credit, you got to pay back $1,000 a month for however many years until it's paid off. He's like, I could just keep doing that till whenever, but I made an album that's going to be a classic, and I'm going to make way more off of that in the long run from sales. You know what I mean?
I'm assuming that this guy probably has a HELOC, like a home equity line of credit, because if you just have a standard line of credit, I know with me, the bank's like, okay, well, we're going to charge you 7-8% on it, which is a lot of money if you're going to take out all that $500,000. But if you have a home equity line of credit, that's where
sometimes it's a little bit less.
It's way less, and the bank's like, all right, well, if you don't pay it back, at least you got a home we can take. Which is
exactly.
Yeah.
And well, I think part of it comes from his home, but it also comes from the fact that he has millions of dollars in actual assets, so he probably has something else to back it. So he's like, if I ever default on it, I've got the money sitting here where I can pay it. So the bank's like, whatever, I'm sure they're giving him a fairly good interest rate on that loan, and that's because of the equity and that he's built up as himself and the trust that the bank has in him to be able to pay it back, right? But it's just something to consider. And there's this fucking quote from Elon Musk that just like stuck with me so hard is it's very easy for or it's almost impossible for an 18-year-old to get a $10,000 loan from the bank, but they can get a $100,000 student loan like this.
Right. I saw that also today on Instagram as well. And it's so crazy.
Very telling, because it's a system that's kind of setting you up to be like, hey, you can be a student that you have to pay back this $100,000 student loan for X amount of years. But if you took $10,000 and invested into something or tried to start a business or something with it, you could probably turn that into $100K a lot quicker than you can going to school. Not saying with everything, and you have to have the ambition and like the savviness and knowledge,
maybe the proof,
and a skill
all the papers
to do it. But it's like, it's just the fact that it's that they've made the system set up in a way to make it difficult for you as a first time person going to the bank that doesn't have any credit history, that hasn't done anything to be like, hey, give me a loan, right? But and then they've got the credit cards, which have an interest rate of 20% or some, you know what I mean? And then they get you by the balls like that, and people are paying crazy interest rates on credit card expenses.
Yeah, credit card debt is terrible. Like, if there's any advice I could give to your viewers, listeners, like, don't get into credit card debt.
Credit card debt is not good.
If you truly need a large sum of, first of all, don't be spending money on stupid shit.
Invest.
Exactly. That's it. And let's say you really do, like, if you truly want to treat yourself, you want to go crazy, get a line of credit. At least it's 8%, not 19.99, and that's compounded interest. And not only that, there's overage charges. I think if you don't pay if you max out your credit card and don't pay back fast enough or something, there's just so many fees with credit cards. It's just don't get into credit card debt. Worst idea ever.
It's good to use credit cards in a sense to like use
to build
everyday
credit.
To build credit, so everyday purchases, put it on the credit card and then pay them off instantly. But yeah, I mean, definitely you can do a lot more with a line of credit and save yourself a hell of a lot of money on the interest side in the end. But again, and then it's just building it up. It's like, it's so important, I think, for people to recognize that you are worth something. And if you work hard at it, you are rewarded for it, and you can utilize other people's money, the bank specifically, to grow and build yourself or your business and create equity for yourself. But you just have to be smart about it, obviously, right? Be able to pay those monthly payments and make sure that you're not spending stupid money on stupid things, right? And
although it does kind of help the economy when people buy stupid stuff, because then like we have the economy growing because of that. Like if you go out, some things, like if people go out and buy boats, even though that might be a dumb purchase for a lot of people, if you can afford it.
That's probably a good asset. That's a decent asset though, because you could turn around and sell it later.
Can you make money off boats? I thought boats lose value. No?
They probably do, but you could, if you're smart with it, rent it out. You can do all sorts of things to be able to make income with it while you actually have it. But I mean, in terms of resale value, at least you're going to get something for it. It's not like buying something getting.
So maybe like you buy, I don't know, some designer jeans, and you can't sell them for anything after. You just blow your money on stuff you can't afford.
Yes.
At least the people who now design the jeans are making money. The they can afford to employ at least some people to sell the jeans in their brick and mortar stores.
Yes.
If everybody was super smart with their money and just put their money in bank accounts and was very frugal, that would be terrible. That would be really, really bad. That would be the government coming in and saying, listen, we now need negative interest rates. So like if you put money in the bank, we're going to charge you for that. We need you to spend money.
Yes.
If everybody was frugal, that would be terrible.
Yes.
So just don't be stupid, the viewers and the listeners, but everyone else be stupid.
Yes. To an extent.
Right.
I'd say be stupid if you have the extra money to spend. You know what I mean? Like it's totally okay to spend money on things that aren't necessarily needs if you have the extra disposable income. The biggest problem that I think people do get trapped into is like buying a bunch of designer things or buying this and that to impress somebody else, and then not having, putting their own money into actual things that can turn into money making things down the line and residual income, which is something that I'm trying to teach people and trying to get out there, and I've got something big planned for Kelowna for next year to try and help onboard some people into the new technologies of this world. Are
you starting a new crypto coin? What's going on?
A new which?
Are you starting a new crypto coin? What's going on here?
Settle down.
The Robbie G coin, baby.
That's definitely in the works, but something bigger for the town, for the city. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, there's and just trying to help get more people understanding how to make their money work for themselves and not work so much for the money. I mean, work hard, but eventually you can get to the point where you can let your money work for yourself. It's just like figuring it out.
Right. You want to eventually get to that point where people complain about you. Because you know how people always complain like, oh, there's so much disparity and the wealth and, it's not fair. They should pay more taxes, blah, blah, blah. I can guarantee you every single one of those people, if they had a lot of money, would not be feeling that way. They'd be like, well, you know what? I worked really hard for it. I got it. So I think it's pretty fair where we're at right now. So the idea is you want to get into that bracket.
Yeah.
And then kind of decide what you think is fair.
Yeah.
If you want to get political about it.
Yeah. And help out too, right? The more you make, the more you're able to give, and the more
this is true, yeah.
Spread the wealth a little bit more, and that's definitely a message I want to preach and spread, and especially around Christmas time, because Christmas is like this time where it's so much consumerism, so much buying of things and stuff, but there's also a lot of like giving and helping out and ways that you can give back to your community and to people who are in need. So
this is true. And I've noticed Kelowna has a lot of good people. I find that we get muddled with some bad stories here and there. I notice sometimes the news puts up a lot of negative stories. This is not the greatest. But there's a lot of good people here, and there's a lot of giving people as well. And our radio station works with a few charities alongside. We worked alongside the Central Okanagan Food Bank Association, and we raised in tandem with them just under $85,000 worth of food and money to go to people. Yeah, and you know what? Huge. On our end, we just had a little bit of fun on the radio, and people came by and donated a few bucks, but it was cool. It's like, okay, well, we have a bit of a platform. These guys are doing something good, and it was a lot of volunteers that came out. Like, you know what? That's really cool. There's a lot of people that actually care and say, this is good. And we came out on our free time as well. It was on the weekend. It wasn't like a paid thing. This was full volunteer. Like, hey, let's do an extra radio show. But it was whatever skill that we had, Danae and I, my co-host, to be able to give and offer other people. And of course, we bought some food and donated it to the food bank. So that was there's some good people here.
Yes, definitely. Lots of charity.
BMAC and Carly, our morning show, they've got a clothing drive going on right now. So you can donate like all your old winter clothes to the radio station. There's a big box, and the mayor came by on their first day. Yeah, today. Which was nice. Yeah, Mayor Colin Buzzrun. Yeah. So it was good. It's good to see that people care. It's a good feeling.
That's good. Yeah. That's good. I gotta come by and drop some off. I went out to the toy drive that August Motorsports had about a week ago. Dropped some toys off there, and then this Friday I'm going to Music BC's headquarters to drop off some food and clothing donations to them as well. Because I think around this time it's so important to try and if you got a little extra give it if you can. And so maybe I'll try and pop by the radio station at some point. And
maybe some more Robbie G swag.
Yes, exactly. I definitely got some extra Robbie G swag that I could drop off at the station for sure. I noticed that though, because I've been listening in obviously, and I noticed that you guys were doing the food bank.
The food bank, we were at Superstore in West Kelowna. And we had a big bus which we were supposed to stuff, but the bus was locked, so we ended up stuffing the sea can right outside. I was like, it was a cool idea.
The Stuff the Bus campaign.
Stuff the bus in the sea can. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's a pretty famous thing in Kelowna. They've been doing it for years, where they have a city bus and you just stuff all the food donations on, and it looks really cool. But we had the city bus there. That was nice, and a lot of people came down, and a lot of people donated cash as well. And I think that goes an extra long way, because I find people are very kind of hesitant to donate cash. They always say, I'll donate food, but where's this cash going? And the cash does help people too. Any cash donation that was donated was triple the buying power. So that meant that through different sponsors, we got 3 times the value of whatever was donated. If someone donated $50, $150 were donated through different sponsors, through food. So that was pretty good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Getting the whole community involved. That's how you do it. Yeah, giving back. So you mentioned there, you're like with my co-host Danae. I'd love to hear a little bit about what that's like working with Danae and you've now moved into the daytime slot, doing the show with her, and what's that like? Yeah,
it's a lot of fun. It's definitely a headache if you ask her. She's yeah, she always like, we always joke around. We kibitz a lot. It's cool when you have a very good person that you work so closely with. When you work next to somebody, let's say at an accounting firm, you're an accountant, they're an accountant, you're both in your own cubicle. You don't really need to get along. Maybe like, hey, every now and then, hey, pass me a stapler or like a pen. But in radio, you literally have to get along. You have to be on. You have to mesh and work together. And days that you don't get along, well, you got to get along. You got to figure it out somehow. And that's really, really difficult. Danae is very, very good and easy at getting along with. And we have our way, like we have our parts where we can each kind of throw it on each other about how, like razz each other, I should say, about little things in our life, and make it seem bigger. And, we get on each other's case, and then everyone listening gets involved in that as well. They start texting in and say, oh, well, actually it's Danae that's right in this case. Mark, you're the wrong one. Or Mark, you're right and Danae's wrong. And we'll bring up different things like from our own personal lives to the radio station, and then bounce our ideas off each other. So it's a cool feeling working with someone that's very professional. B has just been in the business for 12 years, so she's very polished. She's very good at what she does. Like when we go on air, I trust that whatever's going to come out is going to sound like gold. I have to learn from her. She's the one, like it's her show and me as well. It's Danae and Mark D, not the other way around. And it's good to know what our roles are. Her role is, she steers the ship. She's the one pressing all the buttons, and I'm sort of the color, if you will. She's play-by-play. I'm more color, if you had to put it in sports terms.
And so how you said she's been doing it for 12 years. How long have you been in the radio space for now?
So I started in 2013. But I took a 3-year sabbatical to go traveling. So I guess this would have been 8 years now, or but if I had not gone traveling, but I'm only on year 5. So 5 years.
Yeah, decent. You've been going and
thanks, man. Just trucking along, and every day is a new day. The radio business is a very finicky business. It's one of those businesses where you can be riding high, the ratings are good, you're doing your thing, and then the next thing you know, you got a bad book, a ratings book. They come out twice a year, and then the boss is like, oh, sorry, we're gonna have to let you go. And in radio, it's like that. People just get let go, and you're like, oh my God, what can I do? The stability of it is not the greatest, I'll tell you that. It's not like you get a job at, say, an accounting firm. As long as you don't colossally mess up, you've got that job for life. That's a career. Radio is a passion career. It's a labor of love, and you get paid for it too, which is nice. But it's not stable. That's the major issue.
So do you feel that pressure when you're on the air every day that like I've got to really be on, I got to really perform, I got to really be likable, and I got to not say things that offend people too much, because if I do, then ratings will go down and I won't be able to keep my job? Is there some pressure? Or
I probably should feel that pressure. I actually don't feel that pressure.
That's good.
I just do my thing and I hope for the best. Once it gets to your head, you're not going to sound good at all. Then you're going to start second guessing everything you said. Oh, I've said things. Like if you want to be super careful, you're not going to have a very good show. You're never going to please everyone. The goal is 1 complaint a month, right? So, right now, I think I've only gotten 2 or 3 complaints. That wasn't too bad. I know people that get complaints like 4 or 5 a week.
Yeah.
Like, and those people are usually doing the best. Like, if you're getting a lot of complaints, it just usually means you're riling people up, or people are getting involved.
They like that in commercial radio.
Well, right? they want the right kind of complaints.
Yes.
Like not the kind of complaint, I have to explain to my kids why they're going to therapy 4 times a week after listening to this guy's show, after something he said or did. Yeah, that's bad. But if it's a small complaint, like, this guy said he didn't like this artist and doesn't like the music and he's not going to play them, and I'm complaining. It's like, okay, well,
that's personal preference.
Yeah, personal preference, and the two don't jive.
Yeah. I'm just curious because I lost my radio show due to a couple.
You had a radio show?
I did. It's a CFRU 93.3 FM in Guelph at the university there.
You were on the university radio station?
For about 5 years.
Damn, what'd you say, man? You
Every
lost your
week.
job at a university radio station? You weren't even getting paid.
Like what?
Jeez, how woke was this place?
Yeah, completely voluntary. And it was just kind of a cool way to get my foot in the door, and I got to interview some incredible artists while I was on the show, and it was just awesome. I really enjoyed it. But I got it was just again and again and again. The program director, I think, kind of had it out for me. I played a song that the MC said faggot in it, and I'm pretty sure the program director was
LGBTQ,
was LGBT, yeah, exactly,
whatever the correct nomenclature is.
Exactly.
Yeah, so he wasn't too happy.
So he wasn't too happy about that. That was kind of like my first strike, and I didn't even notice it in the track because it's just like it was some MC from the East Coast who sent it in as a submission, and we're supposed to like listen to all tracks, and I do for the most part like listen to all tracks, but it's just like a small word that I didn't catch it, right? Played it.
This is where you got to convince him that he's hearing things, and he didn't say that word.
But he actually did. He did, and he played it back to
so
me.
You got to double down.
Like, nah, and I'm like, I couldn't really say anything, and I was like, you got me, bro. Like but I didn't address it or anything, or like, and I think that was the other problem. He's like, if there's words like this that come out, you have to address them or something like that, or make a statement, or say like, hey, like just so you know, I'm not trying to offend anyone, or something like that. So, and I guess I didn't do that. I didn't give the public service announcement enough. And then there was another time I played a Snack the Ripper song that just had a little bit too much profanity in it. He was kind of just saying fuck this
university
and fuck that.
Radio station.
And I was on after 8 p.m., which I was okay to play profanity. I think 9 o'clock was the cutoff, so the first half hour of the first hour of the show I would kind of like try and do as much clean as I could, and then the second half sometimes was a little bit more profanity in it. But yeah, so that happened, and then I think there was another time that I said the word retard.
Oh, randomly. Wow, wait, what year was this though?
This was 2014, 2013.
You probably had you probably had a little bit more shelf life on that.
Around, I know. Well, it was just around that time. I remember like when Joe Rogan was talking about it, and he's just like, because he would say it all the time on his podcast, and then eventually he's like, I guess we got it. Fuck, they took that word from us too. Now we can't say it because it's not like it was. It's never intended. With that thing to be like, I'm trying to be disrespectful to mentally ill people or people with Down syndrome or anything like that. It's never. It's just like this off the cuff term that we used as kids to just be like, that was something that we felt was a not a good idea, but it's like that's retarded, you know.
As
what I mean?
A kid, we used to say that all the time. We didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: if you're telling me one day, listen, guys, it's probably not the greatest word. You shouldn't say it anymore. Like, okay, so I guess we're not saying it anymore. That's the cool thing. But don't get me in trouble for all the past times. Like you're only deciding. You can't set the bar here and then say, well, anything before. If you want to keep moving the goalpost, you can't just move the ball too with it.
Yeah, and there's still that I struggled. I wanted to hold on to the word for a little bit, and I haven't again. I'll say I apologize. I'll make that public disclaimer, I guess, here to anybody that would be offended by that word. Definitely not my intention to do that. I'm not trying to say that word to offend anybody. So I apologize if anybody is offended by me saying that word. But I had to go through that phase of I think it was probably half a year or a year where I was just kind of that situation came up with the radio station, and he told me, I'm getting kicked off because of this word that I'm saying, and
you kept saying it.
And not that I didn't intentionally say it, but I still had in my brain why? It's a word, it's a fucking word. Why is everyone in a tizzy over a word? In a tizzy?
And that kind of came out of nowhere too, with this whole you get even Louis C.K. was saying, back in the day there was movies that said he was talking about this lady that would go out on the street, the kindest lady on the block, and he would say, help the retarded. He's from Boston, right? We're gonna raise money to help the retarded, right? And that was supposed to be just describing that's who they were. You didn't make fun of these people. That's just being an asshole. You don't make fun of them. But it's like you said, when you called someone retarded back then, it's oh, you're being retarded. Are you crazy? You would go to your friend at the bar and be like, why are you about to do a backflip?
There was a song. It was Get Retarded.
Yeah,
remember that?
True. Yeah, let's
get retarded. Yeah. Let's get that was huge. There's they changed it to the
let's get it started.
Let's get it started.
You know what? I think they kind of got on the forefront of that much before it retarded became a big issue to say. Because I remember I watched Black Eyed Peas. That was my first concert in 2010. I was a late bloomer to concerts.
Okay.
So I was 20 years old. I watched Black Eyed Peas.
Epic.
And their first song was Let's Get It Started. Yeah. And that was already Let's Get Started. And I think right before that, it was still Let's Get Retarded. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, there's no winning. That's what I've learned. There's no winning.
But I understand in some contexts, the N-word. Yeah, I understand it offends a lot of people, and it's not something that I'm not, and especially in the culture hip hop, what I do, that's just not something you say, you know what I mean? And there's people that get just obliterated, you know what I mean, that obviously aren't supposed to, or aren't allowed to, if you should say it like that. But yeah, I can understand there's certain words that just hit people in a certain way and cause that trauma, and you don't want to bring it up. But it's if we were talking about that with the cheesecake, right? So anything can offend somebody.
True.
You could say in front of cheesecake, and somebody might get upset because they thought about that time when they were a kid and they got thrown a cheesecake from their dad or something, or so.
Yeah, and I was actually thinking about that too, with the whole N-word thing. I'm never gonna. I don't think it's a nice thing to say. I think what the connotation behind the word, 'cause the actual word just comes from the word black in Spanish. To literally say black in Spanish is negro, but the word where it comes from and how you hear it is it's a very negative connotation, and totally it's not a nice thing to say. What kind of throws me off a little bit is when I hear a lot of rappers and hip hop artists when they use it in their songs as sort of a pride thing. Mm-hmm. And it's, it's not my place to say. I'm not the purveyor of, sir, you must censor yourself in hip hop. It's your music, your art, and I'm allowed to not get it the same way you're allowed to not say it. Personally, I don't think anyone's doing any favors by continuing to use it. That's my personal opinion. Yeah. But in my opinion, I feel if we didn't glorify the word, not we, but in the hip hop scene didn't glorify it, and just you know what, we're just not going to use that word at all. I feel the word would slowly just phase out. That's my personal opinion. But again, I'm not the guy who's in charge of hip hop. Hip hop artists will make their own music, and that's their business.
Yeah. Yeah, and for them, I know, just speaking with some of them, it's it's definitely a word of empowerment, where it's kind of you use this word against us, and now we're going to use this word indefinitely just to let you know that we're standing in ourselves and we are who we are, and regardless of what you think, accept it, you know what I mean? Okay. So there's that side of it, and there's definitely there's some hard trauma and pain that's inside every time that they say it. So for some people who listen to it, they're just like, oh, they're just using that word excessively for no reason. Deep down, there's like some serious like meaning to it every single time that they say it. So it comes from like years of trauma and dealing with like the oppression and everything that's happened through history with their culture and everything. It's obviously a really bad situation that's happened, and now we're slowly getting to realize that, or seeing through the last year or two, with a lot more open eyes, I think, about into our history. There's been more documentaries, more things, more information getting out there, more people talking about it and stuff. So I think that's good. I think that's healing. And even especially in Canada with like the Indigenous people, seeing that kind of happen a lot more now is like getting more conversations started about the history and what happened. And that's close to home here, because like the first residential school was discovered in Kamloops, which is like 2 hours north of here, right? So
the one you're saying, was that the first residential school discovered?
That was discovered, I'm pretty sure.
Well, because residential schools ended in Canada.
But sorry, not the graves. The residential schools, the first graves that were discovered.
Right,
my apologies. Yes.
Or
that was the first, and then after that they started like, okay, now we need to start digging in more places, and then they started finding all the way across the country. Like, is that something that ever got brought up on radio? Did you guys ever talk?
I don't know if I'm trying to think like where it was, because this happened about a year ago. No, we definitely, of course, Virgin Radio definitely talked about it. We actually dedicated a full day. We broke format, which almost never happens in radio. If you're a music radio station, you don't stop the music to talk. Like, even if there's breaking news stories, you talk about it quickly over the songs. And while some people may say, well, that's pretty callous, it's like, well, we're a music station, and if you want the news, no problem. We have a sister station. They do the news, and by all means, listen to them. But, if I'm a sushi restaurant, if something terrible happens, I'm still going to serve sushi, not pizza. When this day happened, when this all came out, we had a full day where we broke format and actually had people, it was recorded interviews from different survivors that were in residential school, or maybe their descendants that were that had parents that were in residential schools, and they talked about their stories, and we were able to take different clips and throughout the day played, and the clips were a few minutes long, which you think about in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't sound like so much, but from a music radio perspective, you don't talk for very long. So to just stop everything and no music bed, just full on have a conversation or hear their story was pretty impressive for a music format station. And then of course on our sister station, AM 1150, which is a news station, they talked about it quite extensively.
That's an interesting distinction that you made between like how on the radio it's like you get the music, like you're specifically for music, it's about music and things, and things can go on in the world and activities can happen, you don't necessarily have to speak on it. I'm sure some listeners listen to your show and they're like, why are you not talking about this,
or if we do, we will, but we're not gonna we're just gonna say the highlights.
It's like, not gonna go extensively.
Exactly. And it's hard to be like, hey, and did you know there were like 200 graves found, and here's Dua Lipa? Like, it doesn't sound very good. You can talk about it in a more serious note. And we did talk about it in a more serious note when we had longer stops to sort of talk like, hey guys, we're going to talk about it, and this is what we found, and we're learning more as more information comes out. And there's history's written by the winners. So there's a lot of missing parts to the story kind of thing. So you could talk about it a bit there, but you're never going to get the full in-depth documentary on our radio station. That's just not who we are. We're a music radio station.
That's good though. I think that's a good distinction to know, because so people they're not expecting to hear the in-depth story. That's like exactly like you said. It would feel weird to try and talk about that and then be like, oh hey, there's the new Kanye.
Right, exactly.
It just doesn't mesh well. That's you're saying history is written by winners. What was it like being on Big Brother and trying to be the winner in that show and seeing the competition vibe of that? That's definitely something I wanted to touch on while I've got you here in the hot seat.
Of course, man.
What was that experience like being a part of something? For those that don't know what Big Brother is, can you kind of break that down a little bit, because you'd probably give a better synopsis synopsis or summary, then I
So
would.
the idea is there's X amount of people in the house, 15, 16 people in the house. Every single week, one person is evicted from the house. Now, during the week that this happens, there's a game that's played, and then there's a winner of that game that becomes the head of household. And this head of household now has to nominate which two people are going to go home, are going to be on the block.
To be voted out.
One of them is going to be voted out. So you put two people and pit them against each other, and those two people are running around the house like chickens with their heads cut off,
Trying to get people to like 'em.
exactly like me, vote for me. Well, why should I vote for you? Because this other guy promised me that he'd work with me, and this is where diplomacy and politics really come into play. It's a very it feels very political. It's like how to be friends with both sides kind of thing.
Totally.
Yeah, and it feels very, very political, this game. If you're good at politics, you'll probably be good at Big Brother. Actually, if you're good at Big Brother, you're probably pretty sleazy. Well, not everybody.
But
or
really,
the
though, because you
capabilities. Yeah.
have to be able to make somebody believe
Yeah,
something.
you kind of
that's-
have
has
you
a
have to
little
sell
bit
them a
of
bag
vibe.
of goods.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I find the people that do very well at Big Brother are the people that could look in your face and just smile and laugh the whole time and be like, yeah, man, I totally agree with every single thing you said, but make it believable. And there's some people, and they purposely put people in the house that you won't like. They do a lot of vetting and everything. And you've got to somehow be able to overcome all those interior feelings, and the feelings are so strong. You got to overcome that and put on a face. Now, it might be easy if you saw this guy once a week, but remember, Big Brother, you are stuck in a house. There's no electronics, there's no pen, there's no paper, there's no books, there's no board games, there's no time, there's no clock. You are literally stripped of everything, and it's just raw social interaction. And that's very difficult, because what else do you have to talk about? You can't even talk about movies or stuff like anything, music, stuff like that, because of licensing issues. I can't even say, hey, I remember before I came into this house, I watched the Leonardo DiCaprio movie,
Because
Blood
it can't
Diamond.
be mentioned. Yeah.
Exactly. They can't use those. So the only thing you can really talk about is talk shit about other people.
Yeah.
And when you're doing that, it's kind of playing a dual purpose, because you're trying to kill time, but you also need to make other people look bad so that you look better in their light. Like, let's say you're upset at somebody. Let's say you're upset at Joe Schmo. I'm like, yeah, man, I totally agree. Like, Joe Schmo, like, dude, that guy is like, I don't know why he's even in the house. Okay, I'll make sure, like, when you win next week, we're going to get him out of the house, because he is, like, bad for both of our games, right? And now you feel, oh, man, like, this guy's got me.
Yeah.
No problem. 5 minutes later, I'm talking to Joe Schmo. I'm like, listen, man, Robbie, that guy is, like, talking so much smack about you. And I literally have to, like, look at him in the face and be like, are you an idiot? Why are you talking about my buddy like this? And I'm just telling you right now, when you win HOH next week, we're going to get this guy out of the house. He's a strong competitor. Do you see what I'm doing here?
Yeah.
I'm like, literally, like, but you don't know that, but then you kind of know that I'm talking to him, but you can't. You have to put on a face.
Yeah.
So the amount of bullshit that's in that house is just so insane.
Yeah.
It's so intense. And to win a game like that, you have to be very good at diplomacy, and I'm not. I'm not good at diplomacy, so I can't win. But Dane, who's from Kelowna, is very good at that and can win. And that's why
he did his thing. Yeah, he walked away with the big W.
100K.
Yeah. That's a decent purse, decent prize bag. But yeah, I mean, I've watched the show a little bit, and just the little bit that I have watched, it seems very toxic. It's just
it's incredibly toxic. There's nothing like good about the show. Yeah,
and just
people need therapy after this show. It's really bad. You're at an all-time low. You're spiraling out of control when you get out of that house. Imagine if I put you in a house where everybody was just lying to you all day, every day, and that's all they were doing. Like, every day, they were saying the sky is orange, the sky is orange. So the first thing, you're like, obviously the sky's not orange. These guys are lying. But then after a while, you start thinking to yourself, maybe I'm crazy. Yeah. Maybe the sky is orange, and I'm the idiot that thinks it's blue.
Yeah.
And it really messes with your head.
Totally.
And everybody's thinking that, and you don't trust anybody. Like, you have massive trust issues after that. You're like,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So in hindsight, would you do it again if you had the chance?
For the right amount of money.
Okay.
For the right amount. Yeah, I would never do that thing for free again. No.
Okay, because you do it for free, basically, right? Like everybody walks, or do you get paid any sort of
under the table? You kind of get paid a bit of a stipend for being on the show, which I can't officially disclose. But it's not worth it. Like if you're hoping to get a job, just get a summer job. Don't get your stipend. Yeah. Think of like jury duty, that kind of pay.
Yeah.
And if you win, you get $100K. If you come in second place, you get $20K.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's kind of cool if you win. If you don't win, I mean, 20K is not bad. It's kind of nice, but to put yourself through all that, 3 months of work for $20K, again, it's not terrible, but it's not the most amazing win. It's not going to like set you up for life.
It's so interesting because I like thinking about the business model of Big Brother. You gotta think that they're making a little bit more money than they would be able to properly compensate the talent that is actually providing the show. Without the people that are in the house, they have no show. They just have a house, you know what I mean, and a bunch of cameras. Right? So it's very strange that like they're not actually properly compensating the people who are making the show possible.
And then I think it really boils down to so we have the show, we have the people, but then it really boils down to the viewers. Do we have the viewers? And as it stands, Big Brother actually does really well. They get, I think, one of the most watched shows in Canada.
It's popular.
1 million viewers. You know, I don't know. Maybe they could afford to bump up the purse a little bit for the first place prize.
Not even just for the first place. I just mean for like an hourly wage that's like a $40 an hour for every actor that's on the show, regardless
but we're
of
in
where
there
they
24/7.
You know,
but we're in there 24/7. So
yes, that's
$40 an hour for
something. Something decent.
Oh man, I think $100,000 is less than 40. No, I totally get it. Or like a flat performance fee, some sort of. Yeah, and you know what? When there is an all-star season, they do. I know in America they do actually give. I don't know what it is, but it's supposed to be quite a nice purse, like a nice prize to each or fee. Every player gets a sort of compensation, no matter where they place. I think Canada's not like America. America, they finally bumped up the $500,000 prize because first place is $500,000 in the US. They finally bumped it up to $750,000.
Wow.
Think about it this way: when the show first came out in 2001 or 2000, the top prize $500,000. 20 years later, the prize is still $500,000, and they finally
probably been making
I'm sure. They're making mad.
You're just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Maybe not though. Maybe it's had years of having
maybe
more
it's
success
gone up,
and
it's
gone down.
and and I guess it really boils down to advertisers as well, because they're going to get that money from advertisers based on the package of we've got lots of viewers, so we can command a high fee. And you know, it's also a huge production. They have like millions of people they have to pay. It's not like producers and everything.
It's not just actors.
Oh, absolutely. And I think a lot of them do it as internships and stuff. I remember working, because the producers behind the scene are helping you get ready to get into the house. Once you're in, you're kind of on your own. They do talk to you a little bit when they call you into the diary room, the confessional, if you will. And a lot of it seems to be, maybe not the main producers, but some of the younger guys seem to be people straight out of college. And I'm wondering, do you guys get paid, or is this maybe they get paid a little bit? I don't know exactly. We didn't get into that conversation.
Yeah. So that's cool, man. That's cool that you had that experience and were able to do that. Do you think like coming out of it is being in front of a camera and doing any sort of TV show or movie type thing, would that be in your books in the future? Do you vision yourself in front of a camera like that again, or was that whole production thing and the whole like
maybe not reality TV? Like? If something ever came up where someone said, "Hey, we'd love you in a movie, a small part, or you know, a little cameo or something silly or stupid like that," like, all right, that's kind of cool. I think reality TV is kind of the dregs a little bit. It's like pretty low class. It's also it attracts a very interesting audience. So there's good people. I would say most people that watch reality TV are just, you know, junkies that want to get their fill. I like watching certain reality shows, like everyone does. But then you have the people on Twitter. You have like, it's not a lot, but they exist. And these people are just like the worst of society. They'll go on and they'll just tear you apart. And we were taught to, as kids, like, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. But that's not true. Like, words do hurt. Everyone on a different level. Some people words hurt more. Some people words hurt less. When you have like pages and pages of people like just, coming after you, it's like, oh, this is not a good feeling. I almost think like it almost like got me into this headspace of I feel like social media should be like a privilege. You have to unlock certain levels. First prove yourself as a good person, and then maybe you get 3 comments per day, and then prove yourself a bit better, and then you get like 8 comments per day. Obviously, it's not going to happen.
But we can't allow people to just be shitty human beings online.
Yeah. Or if you want to leave a mean comment, you have to leave your first legal and last legal name
and address
and address and exactly, because everyone's gonna leave a bad comment if they're just tennis shoes 69
anonymous.
So it's a weird feeling. And I will say at the end of the day, when you come out the other end, it's probably better if you get a lot of hate than if you get a lot of love. If you get a lot of hate, it builds you up very quickly. You build a lot of character very fast. You like almost build a wall and like I'm strong, and then you realize that the people that are writing it are just kind of like almost like fleas, like little bugs that you can wash off. But if you get a lot of love, it gets to your head. And then the problem with that is these people aren't like, they don't actually love you. It's like, in the moment they love your performance on the show, and then you lose it, right? You lose that love because the show, life moves on, and then suddenly you're not so relevant anymore.
And they're loving something else.
Exactly. And you're like, whoa, what about me? I was just here. And then you're craving it, and that's not good.
Not good
it's
either.
Terrible,
Yeah. So you got to get that healthy balance of...
just get a lot of hate and then move on.
A lot of hate and then
move to Tibet where they don't have Twitter or something like that. Yeah.
Live as a monk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like being an artist, it's a part of this life is getting hate and receiving love, and having to find that balance, and like you said, not letting the love go to your head too much, because everybody has an ego, and the more that like it can help you, it can help build up things for you, make things happen for you in your life, but at the same time it can be a big hindrance and make you seem like a dick or a douchebag or whatever, right? And people don't really like that. So it's very, you got to be able to have that balance of like accepting the love and understanding that it's because they appreciate what you do or something about you that they enjoy. But again, like you said, it could be temporary, it could be short-lived, and you don't want to be feeling like you need to have that love for validation to make you be happy with who you are as a person. It's like we which is hard for everybody to do throughout our lives, as we just like interact with people and make relationships and have friendships with people that we lose and gain and go on and forward in our life. Is like people are going to love you and people are going to hate you, and it's not your choice what they determine. You know what I mean? We can never choose how somebody reacts to us or what they think about us. It's more just being who we are, and then accepting the fact that we're not going to be liked by everybody. You know, it's friggin' people are gonna hate, and the people who hate most likely are very upset at their own lives, or they're dealing with their own thing. Or something you did or said that triggered them. You could have been a simple statement like we were talking about earlier. You get up and say, "I love that flower vase." And then somebody could get really triggered and say, it's actually vase, not vase. And I remember when I was a kid and my dad would yell at me and he hit me because I said vase, not vase, or vase, not vase. And, I think you're stupid. And, it's something as simple as that. Whereas the rest of the world's like, what's wrong with this guy? But we don't understand that this guy is going, like, he's triggered. Like, this reminds me of my childhood. Yeah. So I just, a lot of the people on Twitter that came out and said, maybe some bad things and stuff, it was like, all right, so you got bullied in high school and you don't have a lot of friends. Like, that sucks. I'm sorry that I hope that you can get a better experience, because I just don't see any other way. Yeah. That's weird. I don't know how some people just operate in that hate space. It takes a lot of effort, no? What is it? The muscles in the face. There's like if you smile,
7
it's
to
only
smile
like
and 14 to frown or something.
Yeah, something crazy like that. Where it's like it's actually extra work to hate
like
things.
How much extra work do you have? Like, are you living in your mom's basement? Like, are you living rent free? Do you what worries do you have right now? I want to know because I'd love to live pretty stress free like that too. That's pretty awesome.
That's what it is. It's people, if they don't have worries, they don't have responsibilities, they have the ability to just freely hate on things and not have because they have extra time probably and just don't have anything better to do.
Which that's fine as long as you take that money that you do have and come see Robbie G in concert. And cheer him on.
Buy some merch or something.
Exactly. Buy merch, then all's good with the world.
Cop some merch. RobbieGHipHop.com. Drop it in there. Man, it's cool that you had the chance to do the Big Brother thing. I think that's even though it was a toxic experience and drama and whatnot, it's cool that you had a chance to see what that whole dynamic was.
Yeah, like. Overall it was cool. I wouldn't if I could go back and undo it, no, definitely not. Like the actual overall experience was a cool experience, but to anybody applying, like let me not kid you, this is a toxic experience. You'll be fine, you'll get through it on the other end, but it is toxic.
Therapy might be needed.
And that's, you know what, they actually do give you a few sessions with a therapist if you choose, that are on the house on them kind of thing, but only a few, and then after that you're on your own. I think we're talking about not getting maybe not enough money for the actors or the people, the talent to get a fee and everything. I'm thinking something along the lines of maybe you don't want to pay the talent, sure, but give them like a year of free therapy or something.
Wow, that's what's
at least that. You don't want to pay them, at least give them all that therapy. You're gonna need it.
For real.
You know what? Every person's different. It depends how you got messed over in the house, and it depends like what happened. Thankfully, I didn't go to therapy. I went to therapy much later on in life for other issues. I got to see a therapist because I came to BC and I realized there's more to life.
It's good. It is important, isn't it? Right?
It's important, right?
I'm interested. I haven't gone to therapy myself. I've done like Reiki sessions, energy sessions, or like massage and stuff like that to take care of my body, but I've never sat in front of somebody and kind of like.
I think the idea that
I want to though.
Yeah, people think like, oh, you go to a therapist, you must be crazy. First of all, you probably are. Everyone's crazy. So I mean, who's normal these days?
Yeah.
Exactly. That's
what is normal. Fuck normal.
Exactly. But I know what people mean. They're like, I'm not crazy. I'm not nuts. I'm not a nutcase. I don't need to go to a therapist. I think what you're thinking about is a psychiatrist. Like a psychiatrist, you sit down if somebody has like sociopathic tendencies and literally needs medication to make him a productive member of society. A therapist is or a life coach or a counselor is going to help you out with certain things in your life. You know, you'd go to investor to learn how to invest your money, and that's not considered, you're not considered a baby, right? You go to, any sort of consultant for your business to maybe get some advice. So this is more a life consultant, and he's not going to give you the answers. He or she's not going to give you the answers. He's not going to just say straight up, like, this is what you need to do. There are no answers. The answers are, you decide what the answers are, but they help you sort of unpack. And any preconceived notions you have about yourself, they make it sort of question those notions, and may make you think from a third lens, like a third eye, like a outside lens, which is really cool because I can see you and I can make like judgments, and you can see me and you can make judgments and think about who I am and all sorts of things like that. But it's very hard for me to see me. I can't see inside me. I can feel inside me. But imagine being able to take Robbie and putting you here, and now you can look at you. That's what a therapist does, and it's pretty cool.
Right? It's interesting. Like, even I try to do that sometimes with myself without the therapist, though, inside my own brain. And I'm sure a lot of us do, where we try to have that conversation to get to know ourselves a little bit deeper and, like, ask ourselves questions inside our brain, like, which I think is important. I think your internal dialogue is like super, super important in how you talk to yourself. But it's so interesting because you said like you take that person and then remove it out of yourself and have it looking back at you, and like, what do you actually see? Who is Robbie G? Who am I from an external perspective? Like, everybody I feel like should do that in their lives a little bit, like not just in the mirror when you're looking at a mirror and like seeing your reflection, like who am I, but like on a deeper level, like who am I, what am I here for, our purpose, like connecting with that the reason that we're on this planet, because that helps fuel, I think, everything that we do. But like being able to have that third person perspective, like you described there, and just looking back at ourselves, like, I think that's super powerful, dude. Like, that's,
a therapist will only help you.
Yeah,
They'll take a bit of your money. But
yes. I think it's something everybody should do. I need to explore it a little bit more. I talk about it all the time as like, oh, it would be nice to do that, but I never actually do it. And I think it's fucking necessary.
I can give you the number to my therapist. He's pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't get a referral fee, so don't worry.
He's legit here in Kelowna?
Oh, yeah, he lives in downtown Kelowna.
Okay.
Cool guy. He's a very no pressure kind of guy.
Yeah.
At the end, he's like, all right, cool. We'll see you whenever I want to see you next, you know?
All right.
So if you want to see him in a year, 3 years, 5 years, the next day, he'll
set it up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I might. Yeah, I'll take you up on that. I'll at least look into it, because
I challenge you. You know, I challenge you to go to one session.
Yes.
Yeah. The
Right?
first one's always the hardest.
Yeah.
Make sure you get a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
Well, just because it's very draining after a while, like after the first one.
Yeah.
Because you're working on a new muscle, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you work out. You're a big guy. But after, let's say, 3 years of not working out, then you try doing abs for the first time, you're going to feel it, right? The next day, the next 2 days. So the first time at least for me, the first time I did therapy, I was pretty drained after my first session. It was fine. It just, like, I was... Energy-wise. But then you just get a coffee and you're good to go.
Because you kind of unloaded a little bit?
Yeah, you unload. You have issues you unpack, and it's a lot. And everyone has issues they want to unpack. So
yeah.
I just feel bad for the therapist. I'm like, my God, this guy's got to listen to me and then listen to this guy and listen.
That's a hard job. Yeah, for sure. Trying to like remove yourself.
And the thing I think I really had to get out of too, and what I've realized, it took a while for me to pick this up, but everybody has issues. And so my whole life, it was very much growing up with, it could be a lot worse. I'm like, you know what? It probably could be a lot worse. And it probably is a lot worse. Like, I'm so lucky, like growing up in Canada, first world country, having all these amenities and availability, things that are accessible to me. You know, there's places in the world where kids are getting bombed and like, people are dying of starvation. So yes, it could be worse, but that doesn't negate the fact that I have problems too. And you have problems too. We have different problems. And thankfully our problems are not, what are we going to eat today? And thankfully our problems are not, is someone going to chop my head off? But we still have issues. And so to deal with it from a point of, well, it could be worse. You know what? If you really dealt with it could be worse, eventually all the world's problems would fall on one person, because you would just find someone who truly had it the absolute worst, and then that would be the guy who went to therapy. And then therapists would literally just work on one guy. But yeah, some people have it better, but rich people who live in Malibu and sit on their ass all day and like bang models and have boats still have issues too.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes more money, more problems.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's true. They probably have more issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a lot more. Like, think about somebody who's carefree, living in their mom's basement with no rent.
Well, they've got a lot of issues.
A lot, but not as many as maybe somebody who's got a bunch of bills to pay and people to please, right? Like,
totally. So everyone's got issues, and I don't think it's a very healthy approach to say, "Oh, well, someone else has it worse."
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Everyone's got something, and so everyone should go see a therapist, I think. At least once.
I agree. I think it's worth something to. I need
kind of like a bucket list thing, you know. I saw my therapist, and now I'm going to go climb Mount Kilimanjaro. You know, just like next on the bucket list kind of thing.
Would you ever climb Mount Kilimanjaro?
I'd love to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. I love rock climbing.
I watched that 14 Peaks documentary. And I got inspired. I was like, this is so cool. Like,
man, I would love to climb any. I love sort of conquering things that aren't meant to be conquered. Sound awesome. Like, I don't think this world was created, or however it came to be, however you want to believe it came to be, that the idea was that humans should be climbing this massive mountain. Like the mountain's there, but you know, I don't think
it was meant to be climbed.
Right, exactly. Or even like I go rock climbing, right?
Yeah.
I don't think naturally. I love rock climbing.
You are into it.
Oh man, I'm so into. I love.
Thanks for bringing me in a couple times.
You got to come some more times.
I know.
But I don't think it's not normal to say, oh, man was meant to climb vertically up a wall.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think you were meant to do other things, but that sort of came later on as a way of testing your limits.
Yeah.
Like you can get up to that wall, but how can you really get to the top? Like if I took away this hold and this hold and this brick and that brick, would you still be able to get to the top?
And there's not much up there other than a view, to be honest. Like not much grows at the top of these mountains. There's no gold deposit sitting on the edge of it. There's no diamond sitting at the top. Like, oh, we're going up there for something. It's just
sort
a
of
view.
trophy.
It's a view and the feeling of I just accomplished something insanely fucking difficult, and if I can do this, I can do anything.
Totally.
And I think that's what a lot of people do it for.
I climbed Mount Snowdon in Wales. Have you ever heard of Three Peaks?
I think so, yes.
So Three Peaks is a challenge. It's the 3 tallest mountains in the UK. So Scotland, Wales, and England. Mm-hmm. So Ben Nevis, Scafell Pike, and Snowdon are the 3 mountains. They're all very close to each other. They're all where the borders kind of meet. Mm-hmm. And there's a challenge to do it within 24 hours. So people start at the crack of dawn or like midnight, and they'll climb the mountain, and they'll climb the second one, they'll climb the third. It took me like a good few hours alone just to climb Snowdon, and I was done. We only were going to climb one of them. Yeah, we got to the top, and I'm like, it is really windy up here. I could feel the clouds rushing through my face. We took one picture, saw the view. I'm like, man, now we head down. But it felt cool because it was like, all right, we just accomplished this.
And you got the story to tell.
Yeah, exactly. And right.
Yeah, like I did that. I
definitely have climbed Snowdon. Yeah.
I love it. I got to get to more climbing around here. We're trying to hit all the peaks, like in Kelowna, even like all the little areas. Like we did Boucherie, obviously like Dilworth and Knox, get to the top of Knox. But like I want to try some of the other ones.
Have you ever done Carrot Mountain? Or not Carrot Mountain. Pincushion.
Pincushion, yes.
Yeah, I think Carrot is something else.
Did that one. Yeah, Pincushion's a good
Pincushion's a good climb, and it's got a good view as well.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I used to live right behind Boucherie. Like the backyard was Boucherie, and I never climbed Boucherie.
Yeah, we used to live there too.
Yeah, just like never climbed Boucherie. Just never did it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
beautiful view up there, and a different perspective of Kelowna from the other side.
Yeah,
right?
You get to see the skyline and everything.
Yeah, but I mean, Snowdon's probably quite high.
You know what? You get you see a lake, and there's not really much going on. You're in that part of Wales where there's not really a whole lot, just a lot of green patch.
What's the elevation? Would you?
Oh, I don't know. Really high. Like I was in the clouds. It was really high. Yeah.
In the clouds.
I was like, and like it was really windy at the top, and I was so tired. There was a train that actually goes all the way to the top, and I was like, oh, let's take the train back. And as we're heading down, the train's like leaving.
So you missed it?
We missed the very last train.
No.
Like, oh, that's an hour and a half walk down. Yeah.
Wow.
But I remember sliding down a lot of it too. It was pretty steep, some of it, and I just kind of crouched on my knees and just slid all the way down. Well, not all the way, but like a good chunk of it. I was like, shh. Yeah. Like, I was like shoeboarding, if you will.
Yeah.
If that's even a thing. Yeah, that'd be a pretty gnarly mountain to go ski, though. I'll say that. If there was snow there and they set up some runs, that would be so much fun.
Do you ski?
I love skiing, man. I'm not good at it, but I love skiing.
Yeah?
Yeah. Do you board?
I snowboard, yeah.
Yeah, you do. I think you do board.
Yeah.
What are you doing this weekend? Let's go do that.
I mean, I'm not. This weekend I'm gigs. Yeah, I'm in Vancouver, and then Saturday I got another.
Cancel them.
But definitely, I do. Yeah, I saw you on the mountain. You were there. What? Yesterday? Or?
Yeah, I was there Sunday. Yeah, Sunday was fun. Yeah, Sunday.
Nice.
Fun.
How was it?
It was good. The first time I went this season, it was all cloudy. Couldn't see anything in front of me, and I did 2 runs. I'm like, I'm done. I kept falling. I was like, I'm scared. I need to be able to see what's in front of me.
Oh,
but when it's like fully sunny, I'm like, oh, this is great. Yeah.
So did you get a pass?
Yeah, I got a pass. Yeah.
Season pass. It's
not cheap, but it's worth it.
Yeah, if you use it, I guess.
Yeah, you have to use it at least 7 times
to make it worth it.
7 times is the break even, then 8 times is worth it. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess just got to use it enough times. That's the thing. I mean, for me, I just gotta. I guess this would have been the winter to do it. You got to get it early in the season though, right? That's the best.
Yeah, if you get it early, then you get the season discount, like the early bird, and they also divide it up by the amount of months until November. So if you buy it in April, if you buy it in June, you get to split it up monthly payments.
Yeah.
Until November.
Yeah.
So you don't have to pay all $850 or whatever.
Pretty simple.
Up front. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, man.
I gotta look into that.
This is what we're gonna do, man. This is our winter thing.
Right? We'll go golfing in the summer and go snowboarding in the winter, and then one time we'll have to do it in the same day. We'll go golfing in the day,
or we bring up a bag of golf balls to the top of the ski hill, and we bring our golf club, our 9-iron, and just start whacking a few balls down the mountain.
Just on the way that the skiers aren't headed.
Exactly.
Knock someone in the head. That's a good time.
Be part of your next music video, man.
All right. Yes, I haven't done that yet. We were thinking about shooting a music video at the ski hill, and we haven't done that yet. That's on the list, and they've got a big concert coming up there too. I saw the Arkells.
Yeah, Altitunes. They were supposed to have the Arkells.
Yeah,
I think it was 2 years ago, right? Yeah, COVID, and that was their first time doing Altitunes. That was gonna be a cool festival. And that's pretty cool. Arkells wouldn't normally come to Kelowna, I don't think. Mm-hmm. They're pretty big. I think they'd go to. Yeah, I've seen them in Edmonton, but I don't think they'd come to Kelowna. So that was cool that they get to be a big white.
Yeah, big. Yeah, I reached out to them today. I was like, yo, if you guys need some help on promo, like, definitely want to give them a hand and just make sure that it's a sold out event, because yeah, I know how hard it can be sometimes. And coming back from COVID, it's been ridiculous and pretty tough for all event organizers. So
did you go to Denim on the Diamond?
I did not. I was out of town at that time. I think I was on tour, so did not get a chance to go, but I did see it looked like a well-attended event. And
that was like a splash of fun in Kelowna's summer scene.
Did you get a chance to go?
I didn't. I live right across the street. No. I think I was going to get hooked up with some free tickets, and that kind of fell through. And like last minute, they're like, oh, no, you don't have the tickets. And I'm like, all right, cool. Guess I'm not going.
Yeah, because it was like sold out, I'm pretty sure.
Something like that.
Quick, yeah.
Gotta be careful who you rely on for free tickets,
right? Right. Anytime I tell you free tickets,
I know you. I wouldn't even say ticket. I just go through the back, like, hey, Robbie's my boy.
Come on up, 100%. Hell yeah, anytime, brother, anytime. Hopefully soon. Hopefully next year. We got some really cool stuff planned for next year. So God willing, as long as a new variant doesn't come out and shut everything down again, or the country just decides to shut everyone down, then God willing, we'll be okay, and we'll be able to get it happening next year. But yeah, thank you for taking the time to come out. I know you got a busy schedule. You're doing the radio show all the time and whipping around doing your thing. So I appreciate that you took the time to come out here and do the pod. You're
the best of luck with your podcast.
First official in person one. So thank you, and man, definitely we'll do another one in the future if you're down. We're not too far away from each other here, so
maybe we'll get another person. Yes, sort of like a round table discussion.
Yes,
so we all pie each other in the face. Right or wrong answers.
That's right. Oh yeah, but thank you so much. Of course. And I mean, for listeners here, if you're in the Kelowna area, you can catch Mark on 99.9 Virgin Radio
Kelowna
every day, Monday to Friday, right?
Weekdays, Monday to Friday,
2 to 6. 2 to 6 is the time.
2 to 7, actually. We're technically on until 7.
There you go. 2 to 7. Boom.
5 hours of nonsense.
Hell yeah.
Let's do it.
Tune in. Awesome. Thank you so much again, brother. And gotta do this again sometime.
Thanks, man.
Good vibes. Appreciate you.
Cheers, brother.
Gang. Boom.